Obi-Wan on our Discord mentioned a video. Apparently the guy that made this video was in chat today, meaning Friday, and wanted us to watch it. So he had just dropped this video and I missed it. I'm a bad friend. I'm bad, okay? Turns out he did not need my help. This video exploded and has done very, very well. It's from a brand new channel called Drawn Out. First video ever put together, already at 861,000 views. And apparently he was asking if we could watch it and check it out. And I am always happy to oblige, especially when it's a topic about Bethesda. So we are going to do that very thing today and see what he had to say in his video. Todd needs back surgery. Oh God, he ripped. Oh no, Todd. Oh, Todd, I'm sorry. Oh my God. It's gonna be okay. Gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be oh, he's not doing great, guys. He's not doing great. Don't tell him. He may need to be recycled soon. I may or may not have contacted a local print company and asked them if they can print cardboard cutouts. I'll never tell why. You think you're getting out of this, Todd? Nope. When one wears out, I get another. Let's see what this video has to say. Here we go.
Talk about something here. Fallout 1, released in 1997.
Jasmine, show our drooling friend the door, please.
You all know it, we're not going to spend much time talking about it. Fallout 2, released in 1998, a year apart. Tactics came out in 2001. Little spin-off game, a lot of people liked it, some people didn't. Then nothing. Nothing for a long time.
Check it out.
But during this nothing, there was at least one man who really wanted something.
I actually made this logo for the post-apocalyptic game. It was called Apocalypse Road. And they said, well, you want Fallout. Yeah, but that's, we don't have that. Somebody here knew someone at Interplay. We might be able to acquire it. I can remember it vividly. Just a sticky note on my desk when I came back said, got you Fallout, it's yours.
And so we got Fallout 3.
I would love to know how much they had to spend on it, because it's now, again, the idea of like Bethesda not owning Fallout is crazy, but we are looking at it through the lens of Fallout of today. Fallout circa 2005, 2006 was not the big behemoth that it is now. And so like it was relatively a very niche thing. I mean, Fallout 1 and 2 in the late 90s were like, people knew them, people liked them, but they were pretty niche. These were not like big AAA franchises or anything. So they ended up getting the rights to it. And it makes you wonder, like, how much did they actually have to spend on it? But credit to Todd, where it's due. Seeing the vision and like the potential in the IP was a strength of Todd's. I mean, and again, we meme on Todd all the time. Frankly, he makes it easy. Praise be. But he is like a prolific game designer and he is incredibly talented. And it is one of those things where you can track as he got busier. And this is something Kiwi Talks mentioned on Twitter, who's interviewed a ton of Bethesda devs. As his involvement in the studio went down, as he got busier and started doing more executive level stuff like the Fallout TV show, like juggling all the different studios and the expansion. As he started doing that and stepping away from game design, their game quality, in my opinion, has dropped significantly. And so I think it's very, very connected that as he's been less involved, the games have gotten worse. And I think it's because the people that are taking over for him are people like Emil Pagliarulo, who's like his right-hand man. And his general approach is this like sort of contemptuous approach to fans, where like his famous quote is saying, if we can write the next great American novel, but if we put it in our game, players are just going to rip the pages out and make paper airplanes. And the insinuation is that therefore you shouldn't bother trying because gamers will just ignore it. Like, why write an amazing story if they're just going to ignore it and then spend the gameplay time running around doing stuff, skipping through the dialogue, which some gamers will absolutely do, but that's not an excuse not to do it. Even in that direct analogy, you can write the next great American novel. There will be people who take the pages and turn them into paper airplanes. There will be people that use it as a set prop in a community theater play and never actually read your book. There's going to be people that use it as a doorstop or as a booster seat in the car. Like, there's going to be people who don't use your book or your story in the way that you wanted them to, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't bother doing it, Like, that just doesn't make any sense. So say what you will about Todd, it kind of looks like he's wearing Eye of Sauron as a hat. Say what you will about Todd. I do think he was the glue that held the studio together, and he has a lot of talents. And one of those was seeing the potential in the Fallout franchise, something that was very, very niche up until the point where they acquired it and blew it up into a massive worldwide phenomenon that now is ridiculously popular.
2008. This is the intro to the...
Yeah, he's short. He's actually standing up. He's not even kneeling right now. Yeah, this is just Todd's actual height. I had them print it to scale.
Franchise to a lot of people, including me. This game has a lot of flaws, but is also really good. I think it's cool. So this gap between Fallout 2 and Fallout 3 was 10 years. Tactics doesn't really count. It's kind of a spin-off game. It's not really the same thing as what Fallout 1 and 2 were, and definitely not what Fallout 3 is. These are the things people really care about. The numbered entries that signify something big is here. Now, that said, Fallout New Vegas is basically one of these games. Doesn't have a number, but is, yeah, it's better.
This is brilliant, but I like this.
This released in 2010. Only 2 years after Fallout 3. Not bad. It was a good time to be a Fallout gamer. So keeping all of that in mind, we are going to talk about Fallout 4.
Yeah, they threw it together in 18 months. New Vegas. It's why, like, it's important that we don't just look at the game through rose-tinted glasses. It still is really rough to this day. She's still rough. She needs some loving, okay? You gotta mod her a little bit. Mod her. Keep her happy, treat her right. But once you do that, New Vegas is phenomenal. It's why I've said if there is a game out there in the universe that deserves and would really benefit from a remake, it's New Vegas. Because she rough. But, you know, whether or not we actually get that, I'm not sure. I expect that they probably are going to be doing a New Vegas remaster, more in line with like the Oblivion thing, which would be cool to get like updated graphics and stuff. But I think they need a good bit more work because it's also like parts of it are just kind of busted. But anyway.
Released in 2015. Fallout 4 did one big thing for Bethesda on launch and made them a lot of money. This was before Bethesda released Skyrim 19 different times. So next came Fallout 76. Released in 2018.
The important thing about this timeline, it's true. Fallout 4 was like the last game of the old school approach of Bethesda. Everything changed in 2018. What happens in 2018? Fallout 76, the introduction of like the mobile games and everything that they started with Fallout 4. Fallout Shelter started with Fallout 4, but it only expanded beyond that after 2018. And then we get things like paid mods. The Creation Club was the original name, I believe. They started doing all of this stuff. And it happens right at the time where they're starting to shop around to sell Bethesda and ZeniMax to a parent company, in this case, Xbox, for billions of dollars. I don't know exactly how it went. It's possible that, you know, Todd had equity in the company, and so he stood to make millions and millions when they sold. So he was trying to boost the value of the company by doing all of these, you know, cash generating cash cows like Fallout 76 and all the mobile games. But what seems to be clear is sometime between 2015 and 2018, something shifted. Todd started pushing really hard into the cash cows and building out Bethesda Game Studios into more of a cash generation machine than it was purely like making the best video game he possibly could. So he started to take a backseat in development while he started taking on more responsibilities in a larger directorial and consulting role, which only further continued as we went through the next handful of years with him like executive producing on the Indiana Jones game, which is insane. Like, why is he doing executive production work on that? Like, he doesn't have that much time, but he's doing it anyways.
This game sucked. People did not like this game. This has been talked about so many different times in so many different videos that I don't have to go over it here. What's important to remember is that this number right here, the last one of these came out in 2015. It is 2026. Fallout 5, not even fucking close. 2033 maybe at my best guess. Yeah. And actually that's even kind of a hopeful guess, to be honest. So just real quick, these two numbers have this big of a gap between them. The previous biggest gap between main series releases was 98 to 2008. So that was 10 years between releases, which is a long time. And during that time, one man was pretty salty about that whole thing. And they acquired the rights to Fallout in 2004, meaning Todd only waited 6 years until he needed to make one. And now he expects us to wait 18 years between releases? What do you even... And the worst part about it all is that every time this is brought up to his face, he says, oh, well, you got Fallout 76.
Or he's slamming the desk.
Todd, that's not to his face. He says, oh, well, you got Fallout 76. Todd, that's not...
I'm sorry, I love the little... No, it's true. And Todd has said many times, he's like, no, well, we actually have more people working on... Sorry. We actually have more people working on Fallout 76 than ever before. And people should be really excited because there's a lot going on with the franchise. We're really excited. But you know what he means? He means Fallout 76, and he means stuff like this.
We'll time it. All right. 3, 2, 1.
This, if you don't know what you're looking at, this is Warzone circa 2 days ago, because they're doing a Fallout crossover event where you can play in power armor and stuff, and they redid some of the UI to look more like Fallout. This is what Todd means when he says, if you're a Fallout player and you want more Fallout, we have Fallout stuff for you. Like, this is what he means. Okay, so when Todd says there's more people working on Fallout than ever before, he's not lying, but he knows what he's doing. You know, people are asking about this stuff, Fallout 5, so he knows what he's doing. But this is the disconnect between like the core fan base that likes these games and the live service fan base that's playing Fallout 76 and Call of Duty. But what's happening, and this is a classic thing in like corporate crap, okay? It's missing the forest for the trees and getting analysis paralysis and also getting so focused on the spreadsheet that you lose sight of what's actually true. There's a great quote from Jeff Bezos, okay? Shocker, Luke's gonna say something good about Jeff Bezos. Yeah, we studied him in business school, obviously. He built Amazon, okay? He knows a thing or two. But one of the things Jeff Bezos was commonly known for saying in meetings at Amazon was if the data disagrees with the anecdote is usually correct. And this is something that happens a lot when managers get really caught up in the spreadsheets. What Todd's doing is he's looking at the spreadsheets and seeing, we have this many millions of players in Fallout 76. This many millions of players bought the Fallout skin in Call of Duty. This many millions of players bought the Fallout skin in Fortnite when we did that crossover. And he's looking at all that and saying, so Fallout's bigger than it ever has been. More players are engaging with Fallout as a franchise than ever before. Therefore, Fallout's better than it's ever been before. But the anecdote, if you talk to the average Fallout fan, I think the story is very different. I think they will say, no, I'm frustrated as hell. I haven't had a good Fallout game in 10 years, if not more, if you didn't like Fallout 4. Like, a lot of Fallout people who would identify as Fallout fans feel like it's a bad time to be a Fallout fan. Yeah, you have a show, but you got nothing else. And the show is kind of tweaking a ton of the lore and, you know, swapping stuff up. So maybe that even frustrates you. But it's the difference between the anecdote and the data. And I think the difference is, and the core distinction is, that there is a huge gap between the live service fandom and the people playing it passively through like, or engaging with it passively through something like through Call of Duty or Fortnite. If you look at the data, there's more players than ever, but the people who are buying the skin through Call of Duty or through Fortnite probably would not consider themselves to be Fallout fans in the same way that somebody who played the crap out of Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 consider themselves to be Fallout fans. I think there's a gap. There's a difference between the live service fans, quote unquote, and the single player fans. And the single player fans are much more passionate because they get one game that they really love a decade, you know? Whereas the live service guys, they're getting a steady drip of tiny little bitty things constantly, right? And so I think that there is just a fundamental gap. And Todd's approach is to always pivot, like he's mentioning, and deflect to, well, if you don't like if you want more Fallout stuff, we have more Fallout stuff. Go play Call of Duty. You all have Game Pass, don't you? You know, it's always, well, we're doing more than we've ever done with it. We have a show now. Go watch the show if you want more Fallout. And that just misses the point of what's being said. Now, the counter to all of this is just that Todd's hands are kind of tied. And to a certain extent, they are. Like, he's got to make Elder Scrolls 6, and his team can only make one game at a time. And so he's got to do that. That's going to take until probably 2028. And then you got to start work on Fallout 5, assuming that's what's next, which Todd has not, as of yet, confirmed it's next. He said it comes after Elder Scrolls 6. To today, he has not clearly stated that Fallout 5 comes directly after. He said it comes after Elder Scrolls 6, but he even clarified in an interview with IGN that he just meant it came sometime after. And you would think if it was coming right after Elder Scrolls 6, he would just say it's coming next. But he's not saying it's coming next. He says it comes after Starfield 76, ladies and gents. Buckle up. All of this to say, with the total diatribe I just went on, I agree there's a massive pivot that happened in 2018. Todd got less involved and started chasing that sweet, sweet live service money. And whenever he's confronted about it, he pivots and says, well, there's more Fallout stuff than ever before. But when he says that, he means live service Fallout stuff that they have massive margins on and make tons of cash on, leaving the old school fans who like single player adventure games out to dry. And that's why there's this huge disconnect in the fandom. The live service guys are happy and they're eating well through Fallout 76. Everybody else who likes the single player stuff is starving, and Todd tells them to suck it up. That's ultimately what's going on.
Ranted about a million times. Fallout 76, Todd, that's not enough. But again, this has been ranted about a million times by a bunch of people way more articulate than me. I'm just trying to point out the raw numbers here because it's staggering when you really think about it. Like, let's look at what Bethesda has done from 2015 to 2023. They did some light design work on Fallout 76 because they didn't make that game. They outsourced that game to Bethesda Austin or whatever the fuck. Todd and the boys barely touched 76. So what Bethesda did since releasing Fallout 4 for 8 years was make Starfield. They spent 8 years to do some light work on Fallout 76 and make fucking Starfield.
This is what's so confusing, though, is that I wanted to check to see if I was going crazy. I went back and watched videos from 2018 and interviews in 2018. And back then, it was framed, especially when the reaction was very negative, it was framed as BGS Austin is doing Fallout 76. Now that it's finding like some success and people are connecting with it more, now BGS retroactively is showing stuff that they were much more involved than previously was understood, and that they also were working on it heavily back then. So I think there's kind of this disconnect as to what was actually going on. My understanding as of today, and if Kiwi Talks ever is able to clarify this, because he spoke to the devs that worked on all of it, I'd love to hear it. My understanding is that BGS Maryland, so Todd's team, was much more involved in Fallout 76 than we initially thought. That's my understanding, at least, was that he was much more involved than we thought.
More on Starfield in a bit. Let's talk about From Software. What did they do from 2015 to 2023?
Uh-oh, buckle up.
In 2015, they released Bloodborne. In 2016, they released Dark Souls 3 and did DLC in 2017. In 2019, they released Sekiro. In 2022, they released Elden Ring and did DLC. In 2023, they released Armored Core 6. And just for the fuck of it, I mean, Bethesda hasn't done anything since they released Starfield. And, you know, From Software released Elden Ring Night Rain. Just for the fuck of it. So they've had 6 major releases in the time that Bethesda has,
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you.
So let's just look at another one.
Yes, it's true. And I think it's also, if we're talking about like team sizes, I think for the majority of that, Bethesda was actually bigger than From Software was. Now, I think BGS is still technically bigger if you count everything. But to be fair, to be perfectly fair, I think when we're comparing this, yes, they only put out Starfield, but they also did a lot of updates on their live service game, which they care a lot about. And they also put out a couple of new mobile games. So there's that. Yes, you can also bring up something that's valid, I think, Kingdom Man's Guy, is that it's also that From Software has a much cheaper staff than BGS apparently does. Like, seriously, the salary offerings at From Software, woof. I think they, after the success of Elden Ring, they leveled it up and announced that they were going to give everybody raises, and raised the base salary from $1,800 a month USD to about $2,000 a month. Like, I'm not joking. You make significantly more than that working at McDonald's in my city. From Software makes good games, but it's important to remember that the pay disparity between like Eastern devs and Western devs is pretty massive.
So they've had 6 major releases in the time that Bethesda has,
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you.
So let's just look at another one. How about Capcom?
Capcom.
In 2016, they did Street Fighter V.
They're way
in
bigger.
2017, they did Resident Evil 7. 2019, they did the Resident Evil 2 remake. Also a fantastic game. In the same year, they also released Devil May Cry 5. 2020 was Resident Evil 3 Remake. Not as good, but definitely a fine game. And in 2021, they did Resident Evil Village, which is Resident Evil 8. Oh, and in 2023, they released a Resident Evil 4 Remake. So this is a fun one. Let's look at Obsidian Entertainment.
This is a good one, dude. This is a good one. And I asked, so you guys remember at the New Game Plus showcase, I did the interview with the Obsidian devs working on Avowed. And I asked them, like, how are you guys so freaking prolific? Like, how do you guys put out so much content? And they said straight up to me, like, honestly, we just identify the game we want to make. We try to keep scope managed, and we don't bite off more than we can chew and waste time. And we basically make, they get the idea of the game they want to make, and then they make that. They don't expand. They don't get overly ambitious to the point where they waste time doing stuff they have to eventually cut. They just stay focused, and clearly it's working for them. Pop.
I don't know why we
That's
would
a
be
classic.
looking at Obsidian Entertainment, but just take a look at them and see what they've done from 2015 to 2023. All of this. They did all of this. Tyranny, Pillars of Eternity 2, The Outer Worlds, Grounded, Pentiment, The Outer Worlds 2.
And to be clear, each of these, like, there's a range of games here. A number of them are also like critically acclaimed. Pentiment is critically acclaimed. They got like a bunch of 10 out of 10 scores. Not all of them are massive games though. Pentiment is also like a quite small game, but I think this is the point, is that they've got smaller projects and some bigger projects, but they don't bite off more than they can chew. They're not trying to pump out, massive quadruple A games.
Just like an actual dev studio, just pumping out games. Now, I'm not going to say all these games are great. I didn't play any of these games. But people did, people liked them, and Obsidian is a better company because of it. But how about we compare Bethesda to who they really want to be compared to? Rockstar Games.
Uh-oh.
This is who Bethesda thinks that they are. They think they have the track record of Rockstar. I played GTA 3 and Vice City way before I played any Bethesda game. And GTA 3 and Vice City are infinitely better games than fucking Starfield. So if we look at Rockstar Games and what they've released from 2015 to 2023, it's just Red Dead. It's Red Dead 2. Here, actually, let me show you why you're not Rockstar. Skyrim, Fallout 4, and Starfield. These three games combined made about $4 billion. And this is actually being extremely generous. That's a Red Dead. That's just a Red Dead 2. That's one Red Dead 2. And isn't it funny that Rockstar Games can release the fourth best-selling video game ever and completely abandon it? No online support, no DLC, nothing. You get nothing. Well, I mean, you get Red Dead 2, which is Red Dead 2.
God, it's so beautiful. Oh, God. Just take it in, dude. Seriously, Red Dead 2 is on another level. Just look at that. I don't even need to say anything. Yeah, no 60 FPS update. You're right. Yeah, timeline's a little off. I think a couple of them are a little off, but the point stands. I mean, the point is the games, the volume of content that they put out.
I mean, it's one of the best games ever made. Easily. But that's what Rockstar can do. They can make Red Dead 2 the fourth best-selling video game ever, loved by everyone. If they shit out a DLC tomorrow, they would make more money than Bethesda made on Fallout 4. And the reason Rockstar can just abandon the fourth best-selling video game ever is because GTA 5 and Online has made $10 billion. And they're slated to keep that train moving real soon. And this is the reason, Bethesda, that you are not Rockstar. So let's talk about...
But they're trying to do that. So they don't have a GTA Online, but they have Fallout 76. They have Fallout Shelter. They have Castles, which is like the Fallout Shelter, but for Elder Scrolls. They have Blades, which is another mobile game that they put out. They have the paid mods with microtransactions all over the place. Like, they have tons of stuff that they're doing to get that free-to-play cash flow. They love it.
Starfield. This was released by a AAA developer. This cost $200 million to make.
Shout out Todd.
It has mixed Steam reviews with 83,000 reviews. At the time of recording, it has 2,500 people online on Steam. I just want to point out, this is less than Dark and Darker. It isn't fun. Oh, by the way, Starfield got an 83 on Metacritic. You know what that means? No bonus. Nobody asked for Starfield. It put two major game franchises
That's a good reference. That's good.
on hold. And this point I cannot stress enough. Fallout and The Elder Scrolls are separately multi-billion-dollar franchises, if done correctly. They're rich in lore, beloved by millions, and Bethesda stopped making them to work on this fucking space game, which by
Well, and what's fascinating is that the space game, like that was Todd's dream game that he was talking about in the 90s. And again, I made that 8-hour Starfield Saga video where we went back and found postings from Todd in like 1997. They're archived on some forums and you can find them to this day, or at least when I made the video, you could still find them. And it's Todd talking to people in forums about how cool it would be to make this type of space adventure game and space sim game. It was very, very cool. It was very, very cool to see that even back then he was talking about wanting to do it. But I think that that's part of it, is that this was a personal passion project for Todd. But funnily enough, it came at a time when he was like less and less involved in Starfield, which is just fascinating.
its very nature is completely antithetical to everything Bethesda has done to this point. Starfield further damaged Bethesda's brand. Fallout 76 was a huge blow to Bethesda, but Starfield, it really shows what happens if you give Todd and the boys no clear direction. Just space game. Starfield didn't innovate on literally anything in the industry at all. I mean, this is, everybody knows this. It's a regression in every single way. And for what? When Microsoft bought Bethesda, I had it in my head that, maybe they'll greenlight new Fallout games. Maybe they'll remaster New Vegas. Remake 1 and 2 on, like, in a graphically better situation than they're in right now. Okay, let's...
One of the most immediately exciting ideas was that now Xbox owns Obsidian and Bethesda, who have the rights to Fallout. They can make Fallout New Vegas 2. They can make that happen. If Phil calls up, the CEO of Obsidian, says, "Hey, baby girl, I need you to do something for me, and I'll treat you right. I'll treat you right. Yeah, you know what to do." Doesn't even have to say it, and the ball's rolling. If Phil wanted to do that, they could do it. For some unknown reason, they apparently haven't. And now Jez Corden, I think, reported out that there is a remaster of New Vegas in production. Who knows where that is or what. He's, as far as I know, the only one that's reported that so far. But if it's corroborated, that would be very interesting. I mean, it makes so much sense. Like, why would they not have done that 5 years ago? It's just baffling to me. But no, I think what's clear, though, is that there, for whatever reason, was a massive underestimation of Fallout as a franchise. And I think to understand this, you have to put yourself into Todd's mind, his mind palace. Can you tell I've been playing Persona? Put yourself in his mind palace. I think Todd genuinely thought that Starfield was going to blow up into a Fallout-sized franchise. So just like when, I mean, it's crazy to think of now, but back in 2007, 2008, when it turned out that Bethesda was not making another Elder Scrolls game, but they were taking years off to go and work on this IP they had just acquired. It was going to be a shooter game in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. It sounds lame as hell. They're wasting time. But then it blew up and ended up being massive. People were like, thank you for doing that, for taking that risk. I think Todd genuinely thought it was going to be a Fallout 3 moment for Starfield. Did not end up that way. And so their whole plan basically for that decade following Fallout 4 was that they were going to do Fallout 76. And then they're going to launch Starfield. That blows up into a massive success. And people will be like, oh God, you're making an Elder Scrolls? We want Starfield 2. I think that genuinely was what they thought was going to happen and what they were kind of planning for. And I think it was also in response to Fallout 76 when these decisions were made circa 2019, 2020 in the lead up to the Microsoft acquisition. I think probably they were like, hey, Fallout right now, not doing too hot. We kind of blew it on that last game a couple years back. People are kind of pissed about it. And so Fallout's brand is kind of in the gutter. So let's focus instead on Starfield and Elder Scrolls. And maybe in 10 years, people will have forgotten about Fallout 76. And over the next few years, you know, Fallout 76 kind of made a resurgence, started doing better. The show comes out, does really, really well. Starfield ends up being kind of a cluster in terms of brand reception. I'm sure it did well in terms of like gameplay engagement, financial metrics and stuff that they cared about for Game Pass. But I think that they just totally misread the situation. They thought that Fallout was not going to be that big of a deal. And then the show pops off. They have nothing to show for it. So they're like, oops. And I think they expected Starfield to be way bigger than it was. And it was not. So it was just a series of massive miscalculations that have led them to where they are today, which is in a spot where their most popular franchise, Fallout, now is not getting a new mainline game for another decade, but they can't really change it.
Let's be honest. Nope. Instead, do nothing. It's like the one time where you're just begging for a little bit of corporate greed, you know? Just a little bit of money-hungry fill. But no. Somehow, they're able to just buy ZeniMax for $8 billion and then just let Todd and the boys continue doing fuck all. You know, it's been said a million times that
I think this is like the second video we've seen where people have described it this way. Bethesda doing nothing. And I get what you're saying. They're doing nothing with the franchise. But to be clear, like they are doing things. They're developing games. They are working. It's just not the things we want them to work. I think, it was the writer for VGC. What's his name? Miller something Miller, I think. But he was saying in an interview with Jake Baldino and SkillUp, he was saying that he thought that they should have just pivoted straight to Fallout 5 after Starfield. And I was like, I don't know about that. Because, I mean, Elder Scrolls is also huge. If you think that that's not huge, I mean, Elder Scrolls is going to be massive. If you think the Starfield hype train was crazy, bro, just wait. Just wait. Every 35-year-old dad of 4 who's been out of the gaming scene for 10 years is going to come out of the woodwork to buy a new console and play Elder Scrolls 6 because he remembers how fun Skyrim was. Like, it's going to be massive. It's going to be massive. So I know that the frustration is there that they've not done anything with Fallout, but that's when Todd counters and is just like, well, we actually have Fallout 76 and we have paid mods in Starfield. I mean, like, that's what's going to happen. So they've been doing stuff. I think the frustration is that they've just not been doing any of the stuff that we wanted them to do. And instead they've been doing things we actively don't like, you know?
Microsoft owns Obsidian and Bethesda right now. And so they can do the unthinkable.
Yeah,
but
Phil.
It really just seems like they're gonna just do nothing. That was until the Fallout TV show. Microsoft and Bethesda didn't expect the show to succeed.
Yeah.
Which can be fair. I mean, shows often fail, but they had no faith in it whatsoever. They had absolutely nothing planned. No games ready, not even a Fallout 76 update. It wasn't until after the show came out that Fallout 76 started receiving real updates. Before that, it was literally just sell you stuff from Fallout 4.
Those pajamas are $6, by the way. Those pajamas are $6. This is why all the effort goes to Fallout 76, because there's people that buy that. I know it's not you or me, but somebody's got to pay for Todd's coat. I know for a fact how much this coat is because I bought one. Okay. I know how much these are. Okay. Somebody's got to pay for that. Somebody's got to pay for it. Todd's got expensive tastes. To be clear. I get it though. It's a nice coat or jacket, I guess. But I agree. Like, it's frustrating, and I think it's pretty clear. I don't know, and I still have not seen a counter argument for what went on with the TV show, because the fact that there was no game, there was no Fallout 76 massive update. In fact, if I recall correctly, the update to the in-game store for Fallout 76 when the show dropped in, what was that, April of 24, I think it was a bunch of Halloween decorations because it had been delayed out of October of the previous year. So they delayed it and then sold pumpkin stuff and like Halloween stuff. It was like really weird and out of place in April that they dropped that pack, but it's because it was delayed, and so they delayed it 6 months and used that as their release. It's pretty clear they did not expect it to do really well, and they didn't want to have sort of a Concord situation where they'd greenlit all of this expensive marketing stuff and then the show flops and then they just are left holding the bag. So they just didn't greenlight anything. The show explodes and then they have nothing to capitalize on it. But what are you gonna do? What are you going to do? Edgar, thank you for the 10. I've been hurt before, Luke. Starfield was literally the last nail in the coffin. I was so hyped for a year straight with for that game. With Elder Scrolls 6, my expectations are below ground. I think that's true of a good number of people, but I think among the casual audience, there's going to be a lot. I remember seeing an interview of the comedian Bobby Lee. He was on that podcast with, I think it was Theo Vaughn, and he was saying how he was like going to take a month off of doing stand-up, and he had canceled obligations and stuff for when Starfield launched because he was so excited for it. And yeah, oh, Bubby. And so it's people like that come out of the woodwork to come and spend money on like these games like Elder Scrolls. And again, Elder Scrolls for the average gamer has been completely silent since like 2011. I think the only other example you could point to is like the sudden shocking success of the Oblivion remake from last year. But I think that was just a sliver of what you would see with a heavily marketed Elder Scrolls game. I really think that will be a game that like people come out of the woodwork for. And to be clear, I don't think it means it'll be a smashing success. I think that means people will come, and the other game that the casual gamer has played is like Red Dead 2. And so they're going to come back and they're going to see that this formula has not really progressed that much at all. And they're going to find it thoroughly confusing. And I fully expect that's going to happen. Anyway, continuing.
After the show, 76 got a huge boost in the developer count, it would seem, which was just a big scramble. But Fallout 4. Oh, Fallout 4.
You little... I got you!
Stop! He's already dead!
Fallout 4 got the next-gen update not too long after the show came out.
Yep.
What did the next-gen update do for Fallout 4, you ask? Well, it broke the game in a lot of different ways. It didn't add what it was meant to add, which was mainly there was a widescreen support thing. That was kind of why it was called the next-gen update, I think. It was because it was going to add widescreen support. It didn't do that. It just like stretched the screen, which made the UI all freak out. It was just, they're awful.
They didn't test it. I swear to God. I don't know how on earth this ever released, but like they didn't test it. If all they had to do was have an ultra wide monitor, go to Best Buy, buy one on a Tuesday afternoon, bring it to the studio, plug it in and see if it works. And it didn't. It's seriously like they never tested it. Like, it's why I've said that with Bethesda at this point, I don't know how you explain all the crap that goes on with it without concluding that there's widespread incompetence or laziness, or I don't know what other explanations there are, frankly. Like, how does this still happen? You know what the big fix was for Fallout 4 Next Gen update? Bear in mind, it took them 19 months to issue a patch undoing a lot of this. That's how they fixed it, was undoing a lot of it. So a lot of their improvements, they undid. And that was their fix. Next Gen update. How do we fix the Next Gen update? Just delete it. Like, it's crazy. Like, the #1 mod on Nexus Mods for Fallout 4 was a rollback mod to roll the game back to an earlier version to before they touched it. Like, how does this keep happening? Bethesda, like right after Starfield launched, you guys probably remember this, they put out a quest where you would go on a mission and hunt down this guy. It was like a bounty hunting quest. I think it was like $7 and it was about 30 minutes long. I did that quest for a video, and after spending the $7 on it, and I got to the end of the quest quite quickly. I was already pissed that I spent $7 on this. I was like, this is seriously what we're doing now. And it gave you a gun as a reward. And the gun was broken and bugged, so you couldn't reload it. And for like 6 months, it was like that. You would buy a quest for $7, play through it, get to the end of the quest, you're given a sniper rifle kind of thing, and you have 4 shots. And when it runs out of ammo, you can't reload it because it's bugged. Yeah, Starfield quest. Yeah, one of their paid mod quests. Like, that's the level of quality assurance that you have with them. With this stuff, like with the ultra wide, that just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. It's seriously like they didn't test it. And what I just don't understand is like how this ends up going out the door. Like, I just don't get it. There is some structural problem within BGS that there's nothing like it in the industry. It's fascinating. There is no quality control whatsoever. And they don't seemingly care. And at this point, like, Todd has to know about it. Like, he has to know that these problems exist and that they're putting out broken crap. But it takes him 19 months to fix it. And even then, it doesn't fix all of it. Bear in mind, that next-gen update also broke VATS, which he's probably going to mention here in a second. It broke VATS, meaning that the core mechanic where you press, what is it on Xbox, right bumper or whatever? When you press the button to go into VATS, it would then miscalculate all of the hit likelihoods. It would say you had like a 100% chance of hitting somebody behind a wall or a 0% chance of hitting somebody in the chest from point blank range. Like, it just broke VATS. And so to fix it in the update, they had to undo all of the updates that they did to the VATS system. Like, it's just mind-numbing. It's mind-numbing. We meme on Ubisoft all the time, and they also deserve a lot of it. Bethesda's on another level, dude. Bethesda's on another level. There's nothing like them. It really is amazing and shocking. It's just outrageous. Nobody believes me. There's no QA. I mean, at this point, I think that the fact that you can't tell the difference between Bethesda having QA and not having QA, and the fact that that's possible says a lot. The fact that it's like, I could see that. That's pretty sad.
And then Fallout 4 stayed broken for about 18 months.
Yeah.
But the main thing the next gen update did was add more monetization in the form of Creation Club nonsense. So fast forward to the
Yeah, and of course that stuff worked. The in-game store worked.
Anniversary Edition, which was about 18 months, I believe. So the Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition broke the game in a lot of different ways. It charged you for literally nothing. I mean, like, there are options for me to currently buy stuff on the Steam page for Fallout 4 that would give me nothing.
We don't give two shits about how technology works, because all we care about is getting fucking rich.
It doesn't work on PlayStation. For some reason, it's just completely, there's pieces of it that are completely broken on PlayStation. It broke tons of mods, which actually, I forgot to mention that for the Fallout 4 Next Gen update. One of the really core headaches with that update was that it broke everybody's mods. Because Fallout 4 hadn't been updated for a very long time at that point. Oh, and it added more monetization. And I mean a lot more this time. So
yes, and this is something that, like, maybe it's just a happy accident. I'm skeptical. Because what does... Bethesda makes most of their money off of Fallout stuff right now, off of paid mods and microtransactions. What's the big problem with modding, though? For most people, they can do it for free. And that is a problem. How do we prevent people from modding our game for free? We break all of the free mods, so the only way they can mod is if they pay through our store. Brilliant. And maybe it's just a coincidence that they're so incompetent with these updates, it happens to break everything. Maybe it is a coincidence, but when you connect the dots, it's like there is a financial incentive for them to break the mods, and they consistently break the mods. So maybe it's a coincidence that they're so bad at updates that they accidentally break it in a way that financially benefits them, or it's one of those things where they're like, don't worry about it. If it breaks mods, it breaks mods. It's not a big deal. Maybe that's part of the big brain strategy of, like, rush it through QA. If it breaks stuff, it breaks stuff. You know? Who knows? Who knows?
while we're here, let's talk about The Elder Scrolls 6. What do we know about The Elder Scrolls 6? Well, it's still years away. This much is confirmed by Todd. It'll be using ancient technology when it does release. We know nothing about the actual game. Two things are for sure, though, and that is lies will be told, and there will be Creation Club on launch. It's a sequel to Skyrim from 2011. One of the most successful games ever made, and I say that a little bit loosely. I think it's got like 30 million sales under its belt, but that's a significant number. It's high up there.
Well, so you have to remember in 2011 the industry was a lot smaller than it is even today, you know. So that's a factor. But it also, I think culturally it had a massive impact. Like pretty much for that entire decade, a lot of those games that came out from like 2011 through 2020, those open world games were heavily inspired by Skyrim. Now there's other open world games to take inspiration from, like The Witcher 3 or Red Dead 2 or whatever else, Elden Ring. So its influence has lessened significantly, but Skyrim was a big cultural moment, certainly.
There's been absolutely zero urgency.
Oh yeah, that's a good saying. Congo Red Jr. Yeah, there's an old saying, never attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained through incompetence. And in the case of Bethesda, there's a lot of incompetence, it seems. So there's plenty of ways to explain away the stuff that goes on with BGS, with it just being that they don't know what the hell they're doing. Or at least what I think is more likely is that there are people that know what they're doing at Bethesda, but the systems are so screwed up that it's totally ruined any semblance of efficiency. And that's something, again, I recommend you check out the page Kiwi Talks. It's a guy that does interviews. He does a great job with game developers from all over, but he also specifically has done like 10 plus interviews with former Bethesda developers, people who have worked with Todd day in, day out for years. And so they understand like the process and how they make games. And a lot of the people he's interviewed worked at Bethesda when they were making games that people loved, like Skyrim, and that they worked through Fallout 4, Fallout 76, and Starfield, even some of them, and then they left because the company like fell apart and started crumbling. And it wasn't necessarily because like the talent disappeared. A lot of the people that made Skyrim are still there. The problem is with the processes and everything. Will Shen, the like senior questing designer for Starfield, like a very experienced developer in his own right, working, I think he worked on Skyrim as well and Fallout 4. He said in a game developer conference talk that he spent huge chunks of time during the development of Starfield with OBS pulled up, recording tutorials on how to use the creation engine tools, because they didn't have anything like that. A senior quest designer was spending his days making tutorials on how to use the creation engine because they had to have some way of telling people how to do certain stuff in it. This is how you save and compile a script. First, I go here, and if it gives you this error code, it means to do this. It's like, can you imagine? You have somebody with incredible experience, amazing talent, knows what they're doing, and he's spending his days making tutorials. That shows there is something significantly wrong with the system, the process that you have for developing stuff. So much time wasted doing things that he shouldn't have to do. Like, that's ridiculous. It's insane. But that's how it worked. And a lot of them got very frustrated with it. A lot of them, in all of their interviews on Kiwi Talks and even the GDC talk, they talked about how so much more of their work turned into tracking things in programs like Jira or other sort of task management softwares. And that's how they had to manage it. Oh, you have a bug that popped up in your game? Submit a support ticket, and the team working on that will get to it in a month and a half. And then all of a sudden you realize why games, especially when you have an engine that's already shaky, you could have a game that takes a year and a half to get a DLC put out, and it's like garbage when it drops, you know? It's just crazy.
From Bethesda, ZeniMax, or Microsoft to get this out the door. And it's not hard to demonstrate that. I mean, by the time The Elder Scrolls 6 releases, there would have been a 16 to 17 year gap between 5 and 6. For reference, there was a 5-year gap between 4 and 5. Fallout 3 Remaster. This one.
Well, and just to like remind everybody, Bethesda at the time of Skyrim was about 115 developers, 115, 120, somewhere in there. When they put Fallout 4 out, it was like probably closer to 240 to 250. Today, Bethesda Game Studios is anywhere between 700 and like 900 people, okay? Across multiple satellite studios all over the world. They are way bigger, and yet their production has plummeted. And I would argue the quality of their production has plummeted as well. So their output is taking way longer. Oftentimes it's smaller and it's lower quality. That screams managerial mishaps and mistakes, incompetence, whatever word you want to use. Like, that shows that there's a problem structurally. And that's why I think like what BGS needs to do is they need to go in there and do like major restructurings. So they need to rethink how they do it. Like, insert joke about Obsidian. If you don't like Obsidian games or whatever, you don't like the fish people in Avowed, that's fine. But without a doubt, like quantifiably, Obsidian, I always say that. Obsidian, they are quite prolific. They're pumping out like live service games like Grounded 2, for example, that they're constantly updating, but then they're also putting out critically acclaimed games like Pentiment, and then they're putting out smaller AA sized games like Avowed, bigger games like Outer Worlds 2. Like they're putting out all these games regularly at a steady pace, and they don't even seem to really be breaking a sweat. They're just chugging through it, knocking it out. Like they need to bring in people from these studios that are able to have high production output at a solid quality level. Maybe not like 10 out of 10 games, but like solid 8 out of 10s or 8.5 out of 10s. And they need to totally reevaluate how they do things. Because again, the fact that you have senior designers that are spending time making tutorials, that you have to submit support tickets to do anything because the company's grown so big and nobody knows who's in charge of what. Like, it's just insane.
It's a hot topic recently. My guess is it'll have a 2026 to 2028 release. I know that's like an extremely safe guess, but it's so hard to read these people. This one's rumored to be developed by Bethesda themselves. The last one was outsourced to that studio I can't think of the name of.
Oh, I have a proposition for you. Best not to talk about it here. Meet me at the sewer grate, northeast of the Sher Gorath statue. Come after dark. Come alone.
I remember hearing that this one is rumored to be developed by Bethesda. In-house, baby. Who the fuck knows what that will mean? What
was it? Elsewhere in the interview, Howard claimed that Bethesda Game Studios has hundreds of people working on Fallout right now, and 76 on some other things we're doing. One of the other things that Todd Howard is referencing to, VGC understands, is a remaster of Fallout 3 similar to this year's Elder Scrolls Oblivion remastered. Yeah, it's been rumored for a while that it's in-house. I don't know where that initially started, to be perfectly honest with you, but it's been rumored for a while that they are going to be the ones that do it. Honestly, like, I don't, shocker. My excitement level for a Fallout 3 remaster plummets if I know that they are the ones doing it in-house, considering honestly their output's not been great. Like the quality is not there, dude. Like it's just not. It would be one thing if BGS was taking 15 years to make games and you ended up with Red Dead 2 and you ended up with GTA 6 and it took forever, but you get a masterpiece at the end of it. The problem for them right now is that confidence in their quality has plummeted through the floor, and they've not been able to shake that narrative because every time they do anything, it's worse than the last thing. Like, seriously, there's a level of incompetence that is unparalleled. It just is. It's shocking.
To be developed by Bethesda. In-house, baby. Who the fuck knows what that will mean? Will it have the Unreal Gamebryo combo? Is Bethesda developing this one in-house to learn how to do that method? I don't know. But I do.
Oh, that's a good idea. I had not considered that. That's a good idea. Don't get my hopes up, though. Because basically, my understanding of what happened with the Oblivion remaster is that you effectively had the game, which was the original, like, you know, Oblivion package, right? It's beautiful. It's just a beautiful little package. And it's pretty buggy and busted. We'll put a little bow on it, okay? It's pretty buggy and broken, and it's just kind of a dumpster fire. But it's a classic. And so what Virtuos did is they went and they threw this Unreal Engine blanket over top of it, okay? So it kept all of the bugs. It kept all the quirks that people knew and some loved about it. And they just kind of draped it over. So when you look at it, it actually looks like an Unreal Engine game because Unreal is the coat of paint. It's the blanket over the top. But underneath, it's still the kind of clunky mess of a game that it always was. So you get to enjoy both sides of it, right? But to do that is tricky because you have to have an understanding of the creation engine, which is what's underneath, and of Unreal. BGS has made it very clear. They have no interest in changing engines. They say that the creation engine allows them to work really quickly. They also have a lot of stuff they've built up that they want to be able to just like move over and copy and paste over to their next games and iterate on. So they don't want to do that. So we've just assumed that we're stuck with BGS's tech, with the creation engine. But what he's suggesting is maybe BGS has the Fallout 3 box that they're working on for the remaster, and they chose to do that one themselves because they want to learn and train their team specifically on how to drape that Unreal Engine blanket over top themselves, suggesting that they could then do the same thing for Elder Scrolls 6, where they have their own internal tech to build the game, and then they put it through the Unreal blanket or filter to make it look prettier. That would be interesting. Personally, I don't think that's going to happen for two reasons. Number one, most obvious, even though it's just a coat of paint, you still are paying licensing fees. So you'd still be paying Epic for this coat of paint. And that all of a sudden makes this whole process way, way less likely, I think. The second reason why I think it's unlikely is because Bethesda can barely manage to make anything in their tool set. What makes you think that learning another one will go well? I'm not sure that would work out well. It may end up being even more of a disaster. Okay, so and ultimately also the other thing to consider, if the potential excitement is that this will help Elder Scrolls 6 look better, it will help it look graphically better, but it doesn't change anything about the internals inside this box, right? It doesn't change any of that. That's all still there. So it's all still limited to load screens, to smaller chunks, and to like, it doesn't actually change anything. It just doesn't. So it could be cool if that's what they're actually doing, is that they're learning how to use the tool set themselves. But I would argue their output right now is so poor that I just don't think that would actually help anything. And at the end of the day, it wouldn't change what most people have frustrations about. Because most people's frustration with the creation engine is that it's buggy, it's super flimsy, and then it also is like outdated in terms of how it streams data with like constant load screens and stuff. That doesn't change if you're putting a coat of paint over it. It just looks prettier. It's literally lipstick on a pig. Yeah, I mean, literally.
Expect from this is for it to lead to the New Vegas remaster, which is what we all crave. So Fallout 5. As I said before, I think it'll be a 2033-ish release date. It'll probably be on the upgraded creation engine. And really just the direction of the Elder Scrolls 6 is gonna tell us what Fallout 5 is gonna be like. We gotta see if Bethesda is going to listen to literally anything that has been told to them. So in summary, we are currently in the longest Fallout drought. 76 does not count, Todd. 2 to 3 was 10 years, 3 to 4 was 7 years, 4 to 5 is about 18 years. You can combine the wait between 2 to 3 and 3 to 4, and you won't get the wait between 4 to 5. Bethesda will let their biggest franchises sit for 15 plus years. Microsoft is just as at fault as Bethesda for letting Fallout get to this point. And the odds are nothing will change. Again, I'm sorry for the doomer take, but...
And you're going to give this book, this great American novel, to the player. And what are they going to do with it? They're going to rip out every page and make paper airplanes out of them.
You just posted cringe.
Thanks for watching.
That was funny.
Leave a like if you enjoyed. If you're watching right now, like if you're still watching this video and you haven't left a like, come on, bro. Like you're.
Shout out. Solid video from Drawn Out. Again, brand new channel. Bada bing, bada boom. Brand new channel. First video ever. Very, very impressive. Well done. I think the broad premise of the video that Bethesda thinks they're Rockstar, in broad strokes, is kind of accurate. They think that they can take as long as they need to, and that everybody loves everything they do. And that's been my broader frustration, is just that when Todd talks about any of this stuff, it's always reframed and pivots to something that sounds good, which is what a salesman does, right? If you bring up, hey, Fallout fans are frustrated that they're going to have to wait 20 years between Fallout single player games. What can you say to them to reassure them that it'll be worth the wait or whatever? He immediately pivots, well, we are doing more in Fallout than we ever have been before. We've got the Fallout 76 updates. We've got the TV show. We have all of our mobile offerings. We're doing all this stuff. Crossover events with Fortnite and Call of Duty, which people are loving and are making us tons of money. Like, he's throwing out all this stuff, which is technically true. It's technically true that all of that is happening, but it's a pivot. It's a deflection, And I think when you get in that mindset as somebody that is constantly like justifying your position within the dynamic of what's happening, I think that then you can very quickly pivot and divert away any sort of critiques, which I think has also happened. I think one of you guys in chat, forgive me, I don't have it pinned, but one of you guys in chat said, imagine being a studio and everybody tells you to fire your lead writer for 2 games, which is basically 15 years, and you still don't listen to them. But that's effectively what's happened. And what I think it means is that like they don't respond or look at the criticisms or critiques. Otherwise they wouldn't keep making the same freaking mistakes. You just wouldn't. They would pivot and make adjustments. That's what CDPR did. They got the feedback from Cyberpunk, which was well deserved. And you know what they did? They totally restructured their entire dev workflow. Like they restructured the entire thing. Again, I won't go through the whole thing again here, but there's this video changing the game, a leader's perspective on CDPR's transformation. This guy is now, I believe, the game director on the sequel to Cyberpunk 2077. He actually was the game director on Phantom Liberty. So his job was in part to figure out how do we change all of this so that we don't end up with Cyberpunk 2077 2.0. In like not the actual way that was good, because 2.0 update was really good, but like, you know what I mean. How do we avoid having another Cyberpunk situation? And you know what he did? He went through and reorganized the entire company into a whole new structure of cross-functional teams, so it wasn't department dependent, and instead it became strike team dependent. So you assigned each of these strike teams to individual levels and areas of the game and let them go and figure it out. Like, just to give you a little snippet, just listen to this.
Here to hard here. So everyone has sort of, you know, and then some of the people on the team might be introverts versus extroverts. And so some of the disciplines might get more weight than others in different things that they were working on. So, of course, how do you manage this? Well, okay, the game director, right? Got to get in there and make sure that, you know, the voices are heard if someone's an introvert. If the writer isn't speaking up and the level designer is, sort of tease it out. If the sort of arc of the character, or we want to set up Songbird to look more empathetic towards the beginning. So you, oh, spoilers, by the way. If at this point you haven't played it, it's too late, right? So, spoilers. So if we want to make it that Songbirds more sort of like caring and empathetic to you and your plight, so that she's more believable and trusting, so you don't kind of see that she's kind of behind some of this stuff. Okay, sure. Game director can do that stuff, but at scale. And those of you who've like played the game, just thousands and thousands of design decisions, right? Hundreds per week. It's impossible. So and the game director can be a real big bottleneck. So
like a Todd, where everything has to go through Todd, but Todd's really busy because he wants to executive produce an Indiana Jones game for some reason.
Alignment and ownership. There's a lot going on this page here, and I'll try to, I'm going to take some time with it. So what we did is essentially kind of try to duplicate the game director and empower people to do stuff that the game director would do in different areas. And we kind of had different product areas that we split up, if you will. We had the narrative area, the gameplay area, and World Sandbox and the Art Center. We also had some others to deal with specific stuff. And we put a product owner, an area product owner in each one that then would be able to kind of make those calls. Now, the trick, of course, being is that if one area product owner is making a call and it disagrees, like if the narrative product owner wants to make a call about something with the art or the time of day in the scene, and it kind of conflicts with something that maybe the art director has in mind, alignment. Alignment is a key, right? So you're all kind of on the same page and you understand the pillars and the vision and the intention of different areas. So APO makes calls about the, you know, like a game director, and we might know the what's, like the stuff I explained before, but we got to know like the whys, and we got to get together. So how did we resolve this stuff? Well, you know, the kind of tricks of the trade. We got together and we did sort of jams together. We reviewed things together. And then the APOs would go out and do the actual kind of sprint reviews as the tasks get done. The team started to do stuff and deliver stuff. The APOs would make calls and be able to say, okay, approved, approved, and they can move on with their iteration. And hopefully that APO has the kind of gameplay in mind, the art in mind of the narrative. Same thing with World Sandbox, keeping all that stuff in mind. And that was because before those reviews, we would try to get together and do our reviews together. We'd play games to kind of do comparisons and stuff like that. So because there's thousands of emergent calls, as I was saying all the time.
And this is what's necessary. Like, you have to totally restructure as your company grows. Otherwise, things end up getting siloed. You end up with massive bottlenecks. If everything has to go through Todd at the end before you can move on, the problem with that is Todd's really busy. And he's running 5 other games, and he's also executive producing on another one, and he's out of office on a studio tour thing for the Fallout show. And all of a sudden, everything starts taking way longer, and it doesn't work. And so what ends up happening is the only stuff you're putting out consistently is the stuff that's easier and the stuff with lower stakes that he doesn't need to directly supervise. Another studio has gone through something similar, a little studio called Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog is basically run by Neil Druckmann at this point. And Naughty Dog seemingly was relying on him for a lot of stuff. But he started doing the Last of Us TV show where he was very involved, writing, directing, casting, all sorts of stuff. So he was literally out of office. He was like in another country filming. I think they filmed it in Canada. And so he's gone. So what stuff do they push out? Remasters. Stuff that's relatively easy to do, that doesn't need the game director supervising everything super critically, because you're just redoing and polishing up what was already done before. And the original project that they were working on, Intergalactic, started falling behind. There was the reporting from Jason Schreier just the other day, but it was specifically that they were hitting their developers with mandatory crunch. Oh yeah, it was Bloomberg. Okay. They hit him with mandatory crunch because they had missed multiple reviews and deadlines over the last year or two. It's probably why he had to step away from the show, in part because it was not, second season didn't go over as well as the first one. It's easier to leave something that people are less stoked on than it is to leave something overwhelmingly successful. But he stepped away and went back to the studio because he started missing deadlines. And I think it probably was because a lot of the stuff was ending up on his desk, but he literally wasn't there to review it. So there are just, levels of this. But this is why, especially if your studio is based around one person, as opposed to just kind of like a team of people that, work together, you have to have a lot of systems in place and processes in place to make sure the gears can keep turning, even when that person's not there. And what's pretty clear at this point, the results kind of speak for themselves, is that both Naughty Dog and BGS's production has plummeted in terms of what they've actually put out. And specifically with BGS, there seems to be massive problems also when it comes to QA. And I don't know if that's that just as a company culture thing, they view that as less important. And so they kind of skip that part. I don't know, but it's very interesting to see how it plays out. And I saw one of you guys mention maybe we should wait for the next game before we assume that the overhaul and restructuring worked. That's fair. I think the key point is that we did see the overhaul to Cyberpunk, and we did see the overhaul with Phantom Liberty. Phantom Liberty was phenomenal, and if you've not played it, it's basically its own game. It was just sold as a DLC, but it's massive, and there's tons of content there, and it's very, very good. And the fact that they were able to pump that thing out after doing a restructuring for a year, and then full-on development on Phantom Liberty for 2 years, the fact that they were able to put that out within that time frame is wildly impressive. Wild. Yeah, Todd's been folded up. Yep. So anyway, good video. It's going to be fascinating to see how they tackle all this moving forward, because there's a lot left to do. And I'm not super optimistic about BGS's final results. I'm hopeful, but I wouldn't say I'm optimistic. They know, it's very easy for them to figure out what needs to happen to fix and right the ship. But they seem to actively avoid critical feedback at every step, and that's no way to fix things, in my opinion. So we'll see. But again, good video. Shout out Drawn Out. He took my thing.